A parent's worst nightmare is seeing their child die within their lifetime.
It's quite very disturbing. Grabe, brutal ang pagpatay.
You know, anak, how much we love you, how much we love you.
You have nothing to fight for because you don't have kids anymore.
Yes.
The parents of the Maguad siblings were faced with this insurmountable grief when 2 of their 3 children were murdered. However, the survival of one of their daughters, although adopted, brought comfort to their hearts. As the adopted daughter was the only witness, for the parents, she became their only ray of hope for closure, or so they thought. The lives of the parents were left pitch black when they learned the unimaginably disturbing truth about their only ray of hope. Living in Cotabato in the Philippines, the Maguads were a family of 5. Cruz Maguad the father was a teacher in school. His wife, Lovella, was also in the teaching profession and was a principal in elementary school. They had 2 daughters and a son. Crizzle Gwynn Maguad was the oldest of all 3. She was a bright and kind-hearted 18-year-old who was popular at school and also had a good academic career. She also won Miss English Crown in high school. The youngest of the siblings was their brother, Crizzle Luis Maguad, who, like Gwynn, was also a bright student. He was 16 years old and wanted to become a lawyer in the future. Gwynn and Luis enjoyed making TikToks together. The middle child was a 17-year-old girl named Janice. Though technically she was not their daughter, she was an orphan and was adopted by the family in July of 2021. Janice was a new addition to the family and the Maguads loved her. However, it did take time for her to adjust. She was still shy of calling Lovella and Cruz mom and dad. The family gave her all the time she needed to adjust because they liked her so much. She was their daughter after all. This gesture of kindness in the form of adoption was something Janice was probably eternally grateful for. Or wasn't she? On the unfortunate day of the 10th of December 2021, Cruz and Lovella were at work while the kids were at home. At sometime around 3 p.m., Cruz got a call from someone, probably the neighbor, giving him the hair-raising news that there was an intruder in the house. Worried for his children's safety, the father rushed home within 15 minutes only to find the front door locked. This ran a chill down his spine as he realized that the intruder is probably still inside. Fortunately, the house had a back door and Cruz got in. As soon as he got in, he called out for his kids. However, soon his voice faded and his throat dried. It was as if his heart had jumped into his throat when he saw the almost disfigured and lifeless bodies of Gwynn and Luis soaked in a pool of blood. There are even pictures going around on the internet, but I will spare you those since they are horrifying. Cruz described the crime scene, saying that there was glass shattered everywhere with blood on the floor. He also said that Gwynn's body had a blanket over it. However, Cruz only saw the dead bodies of Gwynn and Luis. Janice was not there, nor was the intruder. Where was she? Was she dead or did she survive? And had the intruder fled or was he still inside? Cruz started calling out for Janice, hoping that at least she survived. And miraculously, she did. According to her father, she just came out of the shower and her hair was wet. She calmly greeted Cruz, saying, "Welcome home, Dad." This was the first time she'd called him Dad. Janice taking a shower while her siblings lay dead in the next room. The strange calmness in her voice, and her addressing Cruz as Dad for the first time, would have all been completely out of the ordinary to Cruz, had he not been shaken by the death of his beloved children. Seeing Janice alive might have overshadowed this odd behavior entirely. Soon, the police started their investigation. They interviewed the only witness, Janice, who gave 2 important pieces of information to the police. Number 1, she said that 3 men intruded and robbed the house, and somehow they only left Janice unharmed. Janice claimed that when the men came in, she got afraid and ran into her room and locked it. Number 2, she also told the police that Luis was killed first and then Gwynn. Further questioning was carried out and Janice said that she called for help via her Facebook account. When the 3 robbers were in the home, Janice went to her Facebook page and posted 2 posts. This was her only way for a desperate call for help. In one post she wrote, "Help me." And in another, "Guys, help me please. Someone entered the house. I don't want to die yet. I'm inside the room hiding." Not only this, but she also messaged her adopted mother saying, "Mama, please help." This was also the first time she addressed her as Mama. The police started to look for the 3 robbers and murderers. With Janice going on her social media to seek help, this case caught the public's eye as well. The hashtag Justice for Maguad Sibling started trending. Internet users started coming up with their own theories. With such attention, the investigators, who found it hard to catch the robbers with no information about them, sought the public's help. They promised a cash reward for anyone who could give any information regarding the suspects, i.e. any of the 3 robbers. But this did not mean that they had given up. The cops sent any evidence they got from the crime scene for forensic checks. The forensic evidence found broken glass pieces, a hammer, a baseball bat, and a knife. Investigations further revealed that the weapon for the murders was a hammer and a baseball bat. The bodies of the 2 siblings were left in such a disfigured, broken, and brutal state that the police were convinced that the murderers took their time to disfigure them. The condition of the bodies also convinced the cops that Janice's claims of 3 men robbing the house were true, because the violent attack could not have been perpetrated by anyone other than 3 strong men. But there was a catch. This case was just like those pictures where the more you looked at it, the wilder it got. The police soon realized that something was off. They discovered that the way the victims were killed, with a hammer and a baseball bat, indicated that it was an act of rage. The violent attack could either indicate that 3 strong men did indeed kill the 2, or it could indicate something even more disturbing. Because robbers don't mercilessly kill like this without a valid reason. The manner of killing revealed that the killer had some sort of hate and resentment towards the 2. Maybe it was not 3 male killers. Maybe it was someone else who did this out of some towering rage in his or her heart. This theory was confirmed when the police discovered that the robbers did not rob the house at all. No jewelry or cash was stolen from the home. Furthermore, forensic evidence showed Gwynn was killed first, then followed by Lewis. This order was opposite to what Janice had told the cops. And if this was not enough to make the police realize that they had been barking at the wrong tree, the last discovery would confirm it for them. The hammer and baseball bat used to end the victims' lives belonged to none other than the family. In fact, the hammer belonged to the father. He said that he used to put the hammer in the laundry room. He also revealed that only Gwynn, Janice, and he knew where the hammer was hidden. As for the baseball bat, it belonged to Lewis, and it was in the room that Lewis had given it to Janice when she first came into the family. If Janice's claims of 3 men robbing the house and killing her siblings were true, it meant that the robbers had to come into the room in which Janice was hiding in order to have access to the baseball bat. However, since she was totally unarmed, this meant it never happened. With all this new evidence pouring in, the cops realized the unpredictable truth. Janice was lying all along. The robbers in her story never existed. Something was fishy. What was it that Janice was trying to hide from them? As a result of these discoveries, the police ruled out the possibility of a robbery. Now, the only one the police could now point their fingers at was the person who gave this fake information, Janice. As soon as all this information was leaked to the public, Janice received a mixed reaction from the internet. There were many speculating that the killer was indeed Janice, while many could not believe that a 17-year-old orphan would kill those who took her in and refused to call her guilty. Those who questioned Janice's innocence raised some very valid questions. The detectives the internet users are, they found something disturbing. On December 10th, 2021, just before Cruz found the bodies of his children, Janice posted a meme on Facebook. It was a Simpson meme, captioned, "When I am trying to comfort someone." This was not the creepy part. The creepy part was that she had mentioned Crizzle Gwynn in the post as if she wasn't lying dead in the other room. The time she posted this post was just a few minutes before her dad arrived and saw her come out of the shower. Why did she rush to the shower soon after posting? Maybe it was to remove the blood-stained spatter on her body, while she was brutally ending the lives of her 2 siblings. At this point, the police and the parents were convinced that this inhumane attack was carried out by none other than Janice. Soon after this change of the potential suspect, Janice went to her Facebook once again. She deleted the 2 posts she made earlier and posted another. She expressed condolences to her siblings. This post received backlash as well as support from the public. Janice then later on deleted this post as well. The public's interest in the case was so much that they even found a resemblance between the murder of the Maguad siblings and the movie Orphan. The movie revolves around a family who took in a young orphan girl named Esther. Just like the Maguads, the parents in the movie also descended a daughter. Soon Esther starts exhibiting signs of an evil and twisted personality when she tries to hurt and terrify others. The parents in the movie eventually realize that the girl they adopted has a mysterious and dark past. Well, if the movie resembles the lives of the Maguads so much, then does Janice also carry a dark past with her? Who is she? How did she become a part of this family? And has she ever tried to hurt this family before? Janice did carry a sad past. According to reports, she was an orphan who lived with Gwynn and Lewis's relatives. The two used to call Janice their cousin and were very close to her, especially Gwynn. She and Janice developed a strong bond of friendship. Soon, Gwynn started making TikToks with her. With the passage of time, that bond only grew stronger to the point where they considered each other sisters. Now, the sweethearted person Gwynn was, she actually made Janice her sister. She persuaded her parents to adopt the poor orphan, and they did. Sometime after, Janice moved in with the family. She made it pretty obvious that she was not the poor and innocent orphan the family had thought she was. Once, she stole $200 from the family, but was forgiven by them. The Maguads probably saw this as the rebellious thing teenagers are infamous for, and thought that she would soon grow out of it. But little did they know that her desire to harm them only took a darker form, and this time the family would never forgive her. 6 days after Cruz and Lovella lost their 2 children, the killer confessed. And the confession was, as they had thought, by none other than Janice, the girl whom they called her daughter. The baseball bat and the hammer were also sent for fingerprint checks, and it was confirmed that the killer was indeed Janice when her fingerprints were found on the baseball bat. The police also discovered Janice's clothes and undergarments covered in blood, thrown near a nearby canal. The Maguad family's lives changed within a day when the person they extended their kindness to took advantage of it in the worst way possible. Mrs. Maguad describes her daughter's love for Janice in the following words. She took care of her, treated her as a sister, provided what she wanted, and we supported her. Whereas according to their parents, Luis's way of expressing love for Janice was by lending his own room to her. This was the same room in which the baseball bat was kept. Now the question who did it was answered. It was time to ask why. Janice was given warmth, love, and care probably for the first time in her life, yet this is how she chose to return it. Cruz and Lovella speculate that the reason why Janice killed Gwynn and Lewis was that she was an attention seeker. Her parents claim that Janice wanted their attention only to herself. She did not like her siblings sharing it with her. Attention was not the only motive behind this. She also was very jealous of the two, especially Gwynn. Gwynn's popularity in school and her awards like Miss English all irritated Janice. The two had completely opposite emotions for each other in their heart. Gwynn considered her a friend, while for Janice, Gwynn was a source of inferiority complex. As for the trial and the punishment Janice deserves, it has still not been finalized. Currently, Janice is in the custody of DSWD, also known as the Department of Social Welfare and Development, according to Lovella's post. DSWD is the Philippines Organization for the Protection of Rights and Promotion of Social Development of the Citizens. Janice is getting psychological treatment at this organization. For Cruz and Lovella, this is not protecting Janice's rights. Rather, this is stripping their kids of their right to justice. Janice has still not been given the punishment she deserves, and the victims' families have not been given closure. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is more. As I mentioned before, this case is like those pictures where things only get weirder the more you look at them. Now it is also revealed that there was someone else involved in the murder as well. The Maguad family used to visit a local church long before Janice came into the family. According to Lovella's Facebook post, an altar boy working in that same church is also a suspect in the murder. Unfortunately, he is also in the custody of DSWD. It is alleged by Lovella that the altar boy is being looked after in DSWD. Lovella revealed that he had been receiving psychosocial treatments from the organization. For Cruz and Lovella, this is a violation of their children's rights. Because Janice and the altar boy are being protected from their well-deserved punishment at the pretext that they are still minors. According to the Juvenile Justice Act in the Philippines, criminals under the age of 15 cannot be held accountable by the law. According to Republic Act 9344, youngsters who have committed crimes shall go to rehabilitation centers instead of jails. However, for Lovella, this Juvenile Justice Act is no Justice Act at all. She argues that the law should not be protecting juveniles who are bound to be criminals when they grow up. And I agree with her. You don't need to be above 15 to know what is wrong and what is right. Even today, these brave parents have not given up on their fight for the sake of their children. Gwynn and Lewis have been laid to rest, but this loss that Cruz and Lovella suffered can never be put into words. And the fact that the perpetrator was someone their kids considered family only rubs salt on their fresh wounds. What are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe.